This is America. Caldwell, New Jersey, President Grover Cleveland's birthplace. Asheville, Ohio, where you'll find the world's first traffic light. Manitou Springs, Colorado, where you'll catch an old-fashioned melodrama play. Villains and heroines. Mammoth Cave, Kentucky, which has more than 250 miles of underground caverns. Gladstone, North Dakota, where the enchanted highway filled with outdoor sculptures begins. Uniontown, Ohio, home of the Wisdom's Light. It's a statue honoring Rotary International. Rexburg, Idaho, where you'll find the state's only historic carousel or merry-go-round. Fort Ashby, West Virginia, which grew up around an old Indian Wars fort built by George Washington. Titusville, Pennsylvania, where America's oil boom began. Kenton, Tennessee, which is full of white squirrels. This is America. Fulton, Missouri, named for the inventor of the steamboat, Robert Fulton. Bartlesville, Oklahoma, where the famous Bartlesville 66ers played semi-pro basketball. Newton, Kansas, that was once the northern terminus of the Chisholm Trail. Now that began down in Texas, and if you ever visit Fort Worth, Texas, there's a huge monument to the Chisholm Trail to be found there. Pioche, Nevada, that's P-I-O-C-H-E, Pioche, Nevada, where they built $1 million courthouse. Now, it cost them only $75,000 to build, but by the time all the payments were made and all the delays had taken place, it cost about $1 million to finish the thing. Fort Madison, Iowa, where you can see the world's largest double-decker railroad swing bridge. Now, I don't know how many double-decker railroad swing bridges there are in the world, but the largest is in Fort Madison, Iowa. Albuquerque, New Mexico, where the Chemo Theater, that's K-I-M-O, Chemo Theater, is filled with Indian decorations, and some of them are quite spooky. Skulls, steer skulls with glowing red eyes, for example. Deadwood, South Dakota, where of course you can gamble and see the graves of Wild Bill Hickok and Calamity Jane Canary. Hilo, Hawaii, that is America's wettest city. Sitka, Alaska, where a Russian bishop's house is a tourist attraction. Omaha, Nebraska, home of Father Flanagan's Boys Town. This is America. Florence, Alabama, where Frank Lloyd Wright built one of his flat Usonian houses. Now, Wright was a brilliant architect, but not much of an engineer. His flat roofs leaked, for one thing, and because the homes were often surrounded by glass, they were terribly drafty as well. International Falls, Minnesota. That's the ice box of the nation. We have the wettest city, Hilo, and the coldest, or one of the coldest, International Falls, Minnesota. West Mineral, Kansas, where you'll find a huge coal shovel that rises 16 stories into the air. It's called Big Brutus, and once you see it, you'll know why. Baraboo, Wisconsin. That's a town full of colorful circus wagons and calliopes. You know, those wagons that go do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Well, I won't do that again. Aladdin, Wyoming, where you can see a big mining structure called a tipple, T-I-P-P-L-E, a tipple. Vermilion, South Dakota, once Spanish, twice French, now home to the University of South Dakota. The sports teams are the Coyotes. Pueblo, Colorado. That's the Steel City of the West, once home to the only steel mill west of the Mississippi. Oregon City, Oregon. That's the western end of the old Oregon Trail. You can still see, as you know, some ruts of the trail across the upper Midwest leading to Oregon City. Guthrie, Oklahoma, where there's a museum filled with nothing but cigarette and cigar lighters. Arco, Idaho. That's the gateway to the Craters of the Moon National Monument. This is America. Providence. Now, Rhode Island's capital city was founded in 1636 by Roger Williams, not the pianist, obviously, but a religious exile from the strict Massachusetts Bay Colony. He named the town in honor of what he called God's merciful providence. Promontory Point, that's on a P's, Promontory Point, Utah, where the two great rail lines joined to form the Transcontinental Railroad, the Central Pacific and the Union Pacific. Interestingly, the Central Pacific didn't start from the Midwest. It was the one that started in California and headed east. Vidalia, Georgia. That's the sweet onion capital of the world. I made a sandwich the other day from a Vidalia onion. It was sweet and delicious. Camden, South Carolina, where baseball pioneer Larry Doby was born. He was the first black player in the American League. Jackie Robinson, of course, was the first in the National League. Doby was a hero of mine, a boyhood hero. I grew up in the Cleveland area, and he played center field for the Indians. Guilford, Connecticut, where you'll find the oldest stone house in Connecticut. And believe me, there are a lot of stone houses in Connecticut. Fort Wayne, Indiana, which hosts a big Johnny Appleseed festival each September every year. New Orleans, Louisiana, is called the Big Easy, and for good reason. I lived there for 5 years, and I can attest that it's a delightful place to live. The Big Easy. Eden, North Carolina. That's Carol, my wife's hometown. She's the photographer, of course, for the This Is America Foundation. She was born in Eden, North Carolina. Rockport, Massachusetts. That's home of the Paper House. Yes, Paper House, an entire home, huge full-size home made entirely of paper. I don't believe it has a chimney and a fireplace. Windsor, Vermont, where delegates gathered to form what was once an independent Vermont Republic. This is America. Rachel, Nevada. That's a little dot right in the middle of the desolate and spooky extraterrestrial highway, full of aliens. Well, mostly manufactured aliens, but lots of alien stuff around Rachel, Nevada. St. Charles, Illinois. That's the pride of the Fox River Valley. The big island of Hawaii, where you can look down into live volcanoes, some of which spill lava directly into the sea. Bozeman, Montana, home of the Museum of the Rockies and Montana State University, whose sports teams are the Bobcats, same nickname as my undergraduate alma mater, Ohio University, also the Bobcats. Strong, Maine, where they make a lot of toothpicks, presumably strong toothpicks. Oshkosh, Wisconsin, where, believe it or not, there's a museum at the Hospital of the Insane. San Antonio, Texas, where they created the cool and quiet river walk, the Paseo del Rio, below ground level near the Alamo. Coconut Creek, Florida. That's the butterfly capital of the world. Millersville, Tennessee, where you'll want to go if you collect beer cans. There's a museum of them there. Now, I collect beer bottles, more than 2,100 of them so far, all U.S. beers. Carol and I pick up bottles, sometimes off the street, I must admit, everywhere we go across America. It's an interesting and inexpensive hobby. And Adamstown, Pennsylvania, where you'll find a really cool toy robot museum.